Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of a new segment that is called the Weekly Minecraft Ramble. Um, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just pick a topic and I'm gonna start there and I'm gonna end wherever. It's gonna be getting what you pay for here, a ramble. Uh, I'm doing this over Minecraft because Minecraft is something that I can just kind of do and not really pay attention to. Um, and that makes for good talky stuff. Um, this week I want to talk about immersion, and there's a good reason for that. 2 days ago I recorded my first set for Metroid Prime 2, and I was talking about it there, but that's not going to go up for like another week. Um, so I figured I'd go ahead and I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about it more because while I was listening to the footage and all that, um, some other things came to mind. So yeah, like I said, this is a ramble thing. That's the point of these. Um, so we'll just jump right in it. Immersion. I don't know if I said it in so many words in the Metroid thing, but I highly value immersion. Um, I've been on record saying I'll play. That's not even my statement. I was about to take one of Steve's statements. Well, it's something similar to what I've said before. I don't care how bad of a game I'm playing or something like that, as long as it's got a decent story. And for me, story is what drives immersion. Um, if I can take a step back and suspend my belief long enough to get utterly lost in a story or a game, even if the controls are bad, that doesn't break stuff for me because I don't know. I've got this. I think it's because of my obsession with being immersed in something. Um, I will go to great lengths to be stuck in something like that. For instance, well, I'm not gonna. I was about to say I mentioned this in the Metroid episode, but this is going up first, so I'm gonna have to get that in my head really quick that this is going up before that. So some of this you'll hear twice, but not all of it. I forgot what I was gonna say and all of that. Oh yeah. The reason that this is coming up is because of something that I did recently. There's a series that I'm following, an online fanfiction series that I'm following on. It's by an artist known as Imploding Colon, and I'm not going to say too much about it because, well, one, hopefully one of the people who watches these is going to read the series that I'm talking about soon. You know who you are, and you need to read it. So I'm not going to talk specifically about the story just for those reasons, and that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to talk about a story. I'm here to talk about why that story messed me up. Originally it was one story, and the way that it was being released is at least one chapter a day, sometimes two, sometimes more, depending on how long those chapters were. And it ended up being 200 chapters long, which, unless I am mistaken, is the chapter cap for where it is being posted. So that I thought that was interesting, and so I found that story when it was about, I want to say, halfway through, a little past. Point being, I wrote out the rest of the story as it was being released, and the story ended, and it was a powerful ending, and we all thought that's where the entire story, or at least that's, I'd say we all, but that would mean that I'm speaking for a lot of people. I thought that that's where the story would ended. Would be ending. So so a few, I can't remember how much longer how long afterwards it was, but when I followed the Arthur, and when he published his second story, I didn't really pay it much mind. I threw it my read later and said I would I'd come back to it when when it was finished, and I didn't do that. I put it in the read later and completely forgot about it. And then a long time later, the Arthur published a third story, and by this point we're like, oh, okay, this is a series now. And I don't know how recently it was revealed, but I just found out recently that what I thought was going to be one story is planned to be 12. So March 1st, which was a week before last Saturday, he published the 5th, and that sold it for me. As far as, I figured it was high time I get caught up on this story series, because I was and am seriously interested in it. So I spent 8 days, I believe, no less than 8 days reading. Just I like I said, I'd read the first one. I had 3 to read and a 4th to start on, and I did that over the next 8 days. I just read. I've got my setup is I'm in my recliner, and I've got my the recording computer is my Alienware, and that's hooked up to my TV through the HDMI's and all that good stuff. And next to me, propped up, is my laptop, and I've got to where I'll wear a pair of headphones around my neck, turn on Steve on the laptop, and just listen to him while I'm playing a game, or listen to music while I'm playing a game or whatever. Like now, some of my sessions with Martin, we'll get into it, and he'll cut off. He listens to online radio or YouTube playlists or stuff like that when he's playing games, but his connection won't handle it while we're trying to actually play something online. So he's got to where he'll just mute his stuff and we'll listen to Steve through my headphones. And so that's just the thing that it's so like I'd throw open Steve or throw open some music and just read, and I'd like to the point where we played some Dungeon Defenders last week, and I was grinding a character, so I would just hide my character in the corner and read while Martin pulled all of the weight, which he kind of does anyway, but I usually at least help as far as grabbing mana and stuff like that. But I was not much help there, and I apologize if you're watching this, which you might be, but if you're watching this, I'm sorry about that session. I was feeding an obsession. But anyway, so I spent 8 days locked in this universe, and when I say that, when I read something, I shut my mind off to everything else, to the point where, like, there were a couple of times where Mom would come in and need something, and it would take me a minute to reacclimatize to my surroundings, because I'd just spent 2 or 3 hours uninterrupted, neck deep in this universe. Oh boy. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Ooh. Interesting. Wait a minute, have I been here before? So, yeah, hang on just a second. I gotta restart the recording. There we go. No, okay. So, think and use your words. So yeah, like I shut my mind off to everything going on around me, like I said, to the point where a couple of times I would get interrupted or whatever, and it would take a minute to get my head back into actual reality because I was so deep into the universe. And I mean, that's not. I'm not. I want to go on record. I'm not saying this to praise the Arthur. The story's good. Don't get me wrong there. But this isn't like I'm not. This isn't intended as high praise for Imploding Colon. This is the way I read everything, even like borderline bad stuff. If it's interesting enough, if it keeps my attention, I invest in it. Wholly. If I'm going to do something, I do it. I think that's half the reason I don't do as much. Like I put off and procrastinate on and end up not doing so many things because I don't feel like I can do it to the standards that I want to do. So I just don't do it at all. And that's something that I'm trying to get out of. And because like with this, like this is doing this Let's Play stuff and this just recording stuff and putting it on YouTube. Just that right there is such a. I mean, it's a dumb thing. My videos aren't good. They're not amazing. They're not up to the quality of the people that I'm idealizing while I'm doing it. But I'm doing something, and I'm moving forward with the thing. And I'd like to think that I'm getting better. But I mean, that's what I mean. Like, yeah. So when I do something, I do it. I know I kind of copped out of my own rule there when I started out with the game that I did, because I'm gonna say it here. I'm probably not gonna do any more of Runner. I took my hand off the keyboard and I gestured with my left hand while saying that, and it accomplished nothing. I'm probably not gonna do any more of Runner. The number one thing is Runner's not really that interesting. It's definitely the most me playing a game that I've put up, as far as, but like the thing with that is until I get better at I hate you. Until I get better at talking and playing a game at the same time, I'm gonna stick to things that I know, and that's kind of why I chose to do the Metroid trilogy first, because it's something that I'm familiar with, so I can kind of think while I'm doing it. But anyway, but yeah, if I'm gonna do something, and if it's something that I'm wanting to do and stuff like that, I'm going to invest heavily in it, as far as time and mental facilities and things like that. So when I started reading this story, I just got neck deep in it. Like, everything, all of my free time was consumed by that story, to the point where, like I said, I was even ignoring one of our play sessions to read the story. And I think I was open. I want to say that I was open about that. With him, like I wasn't just like sneak reading. I was like, I'm reading. But so I spent all that time that deep in that story, and when I got caught up, like, cause I'm caught up now, and I'm on email alert. I'm at email alert level of obsessed with being up to date on this story right now. But when I got caught up, and this is something that I mentioned in the Metroid video, the first thing I did was sit and stare at my TV because I didn't know what to do with myself, just because I was out of story to read. And it's you're gonna become a problem, aren't you? We'll see. it's something that I do a lot. Like, the specifically the other time I can remember being that invested in a story is when I was in high school. I read the Left Behind series. Um, can't remember the name of the author off the top of my head right now, and I feel bad about that. Um, but I read that, and I also at the same time I read the one for kids, the teenage one. Come on, stop being a jerk. Stop. Hang on, I'll get this figured out in a minute. So, and I remember, like I wasn't a very good student in that, I spent a lot of class time reading, and it got me in a lot of trouble, and that kind of thing. Just because, I mean, it wasn't that the teacher was mad that I was reading, it was this is class time, and yeah, I get it, you're reading, but you shouldn't be, because this is class time, and it was that kind of thing. So so I'm sorry, I'm trying to think. I thought this wouldn't be this intensive as far as me having to think about it, but then water happened. Um, but I remember, there was a point in the story. It was like, it was specifically about high schoolers, and like there was a point in the story where the high schoolers were back in school after all of the bad things were happening. And in case you don't know, Left Behind is about the rapture, and and so yeah. So it was like all the kids. Specifically, I remember the teenagers were back in school after everything, and they were dealing with the fallout from the total government control over the school and stuff like that. And I don't remember specifically what was going on, but I remember that they were mopey about it, and so was I. Like between classes, I remember I would walk around in a funk because I'd been reading the story, and I had just gotten that deep in the story to where I was I don't want to say I was accepting the reality of the story, because I don't think that's what was happening. Why? Water. Why? This isn't the way water works. When you remove the support, it doesn't just stay there. Water, who told you how to be water? Because they told you wrong. Um, but I remember moping around between classes, like it's sad now that I think about it. But there we go. There we go. So yeah, I would just be that into it, and I'm still like that. I was like that with this story, and it wasn't. Like I said, I'm not gonna spoil anything. So I'm not gonna tell you why I was being mopey about it. But I was being mopey, like there was a thing going on, and I was moping about it, because it was a heavy thing. So let me think. Um, you know what? I think that's where I'm gonna call this first episode. Uh, Hang on just a second. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna call this. Well, no, no, because I haven't. Well, I don't know. I'm still feeling this out. Because like I said, this is a ramble, but I don't want to go on for hours and hours and hours. So you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna cut this off here. I'm gonna do closing statement type thing, and during my long trek back to home. Um, so yeah, when I read something or things like that, I get super invested, and that's what I really wanted to get at when I said I want to talk about immersion. It was more I want to talk about how I immerse myself. And the point I was wanting to get to is where I was talking about, how I immerse myself to the point where the stories directly affect my state of mind. Um, Not to where I'm like in this suspended state of disbelief, walking around outside thinking it's real, but my head is sympathizing with and connecting with these stories and these worlds and these universes to the extent that I'm getting direct feedback from the events, and I think that's one of the best ways to enjoy games and movies and books and TV shows. If you're gonna do it, if it's, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are exceptions to that. Like, you shouldn't immerse yourself in um, a Will Ferrell movie or any, like comedy's a bad example. Just things with substantial story content, a good book, um, something that's going for continuity. It takes and rewards investment. Um, and by that I mean, some things are going to be harder to get into than others. That doesn't make them any less worth getting into. Um, and not everything's going to be perfect. And I say that when with specifically, I'm reading online fan fiction that's not necessarily moderated as far as grammar and things like that. So like even in the story I'm reading, yeah, there's like a misspelled word, or he used the wrong character name, or things like that. But it's like you part of you notice that. I'm not gonna say it goes unnoticed, but when you get that deep into the story and you've invested that much into the immersion and you're enjoying the content so much, you stop caring. Like, you don't care that there's an out of place word, or like, that apostrophe's not in the right space, or he didn't mean that word, because this world is happening in your head and on the page. And I should really stop trying to talk with my hands while I'm playing a game. I think that's one of the things. I talk with my hands, and I noticed it in a lot of the stuff that I do. I'll stop moving in the game or something, and I'll sit still, and it's because I'm talking with my hands while I'm doing that, and it amounts to nothing. But yeah, like, this is supposed to be closing statement territory. Um, so yeah, go immerse yourself in something. I'm gonna give a book suggestion, and it's gonna be kind of a cliche one, I suppose. If you haven't read it, go read either John Green's Paper Towns or The Fault in Our Stars. I would highly suggest Paper Towns first. And I'm biased on that because Paper Towns was my first John Green book, and it's so easy to get in the head of this character that John Green is writing, and I love it. I love it so much. The last time I went to a play, I don't remember if I've talked about this anywhere except with people that I know, but we went on a trip one time, and I'm notorious about not being able to sleep if I'm not home, especially if I don't have a bedroom of some sort to work with. And in this particular case, we were staying in a dorm on a campground, and I didn't even try to sleep. I stacked. It was a weird noise. I stacked two bunks. Like, the mattresses were super thin, so I hopped up on a top bunk, threw a second mattress up on top of the first mattress, like folded it so that I could lean back like it was, so I was sitting up in it, and pulled up Paper Towns on my laptop, and I read the whole thing in one night for like the ninth time. And just it's so easy to get lost in that world. Um, and there's just, in my opinion, there's just so much value to that, to where like petty things and stuff like that start falling away because you're just experiencing this world, and while you're experiencing this world, that's all that matters. The world is all that matters, and that can be a bit dangerous in some aspects. There is there is the danger of getting too lost in a world. One to where like the reading consumes your time. That's one thing you got to be careful of. But in my case, where I'm writing things too, I've got my own universe that I have to support, and if I'm reading some sort of alternate universe to that, like I've mentioned many times in many different places, that while I'm laying down at night, I think about my stories, and I think about the universe that my stories are taking place in, and I think out loud, or I plan out scenes or things like that. Well, this story that I was reading, it was getting so easy to just get completely lost in that story that I would start picking up threads of logic from the other story, and folding it into mine without thinking about it. Not being like, oh, I like this idea, I'm going to take it thing. Like, my brain had accepted that was the way things were, kind of deal. Because that's the way things had been, because I was reading the story where that's the way things were. And my brain was applying it to my own thing. I really needed to cut this off because I'm planning on doing these one episode things. This one's already going to be like 20-25 minutes long. That's going to take forever to upload as it is. So yeah, this has been the first episode of the weekly Minecraft Ramble, or whatever I called it at the beginning. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to me talk. If you're still here, I highly doubt many of you are. But if you are, you're great. I love you. Thank you for listening to me talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll throw this out there. If any one of the 3 people that inevitably watches this has something they want to hear me ramble about, throw it in the comments. We'll see what happens. I say weekly. I use that term loosely. I will be doing one per calendar week. So this one's probably going to go up tomorrow, which is Thursday, or excuse me, later today, which is Thursday, because it's 1:30 in the morning. And I'll probably cut it together and start uploading it tomorrow morning, or either that or it'll be up Friday morning. And that'll be mine for this week, and then I may turn around and record another one later this week and hold on to it for a while. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but there will be one per calendar week. It will not be like every Monday, because I don't want to commit to that. As far as that sounds terrible, I know. I may do like every Friday, and that because I'll probably have one done by Friday, but then I'll have to sit on it. I'll say that when I'm used to it. But yeah, thank you for joining me. If you have an idea for a topic, shoot. We'll see what happens, and I will see you next week. Hello everyone, and welcome to a new segment that I'm doing on a whim. Rambling. Right, we're going to start that over again because I've forgotten the name of my segment.